Let's go over the Algo IQ system tools. This is Trade the Signals training. This is part of our curriculum within the Algo IQ program. If you have any questions on anything at any time, you can go to the gridalgo.com website or just send an email to info@gridalgo.com. So let's look at signals out of the U.S. cash session open. This is 8:30 Globex time, 8:30 a.m., which is Chicago time. This is the MNQ contract. This is the NQ contract. I'll show you the super bands and what we're looking at out of the open. So we knew Powell was going to start speaking at Jackson Hole. He ended up throwing a bone to the market and everybody. They have some Fed member has mortgage fraud issues. And, the Trump administration's putting a lot of pressure on the Fed to lower interest rates, which I'm kind of shocked they haven't done at least a 50 basis point already this year. So they can at least get a full point down before end of year, since the U.S. has 9 trillion in debt that's going to be renegotiated or, move from closing out terms to new terms on bonds, treasury notes, and so on. The first 2 minutes out of the open, I never take signals. There was a mom signal. I let the market, all the participants that are blasting orders in right out of the open, let that play out a bit. I do the same thing when I trade fully automated. I wait for 2 minutes before the automation can look for signals. First signal right out of the gates, nice mom signal to the long side. So we caught a little bit of a move there. Next signal, so this is just like if you took all the signals in a row right out of the gates to get to a daily profit objective on your prop accounts. Next trade was a short, right back to what had been holding as pre-market support. So anyhow, we had a short trade. That really didn't make anything because right about the time you're getting in the trade and getting a little bit of movement, we come down. We had some ascending pivots out of the open. We make a higher pivot low. So the market stair stepping a bit higher and we get a long signal and that rips. So should have made a little money here, nothing here, no loser, kind of a scratch trade, then money there. You should have been done for sure on this third trade. So 3 trades and done on the day to get to, I don't care what your daily goal is, if you have the position size set right, there's more than adequate price movement, to accomplish that objective. For some reason, if you needed more that day and the Fed news, what he was speaking was coming out, the market started speeding up, trade speed went up. We then had another short signal. That would have been a loser. So any trade short to a trade long would have been a loser, and then you had a winner after that. So you had a loser. We'll put an L on that. That was a losing trade. This was a scratch, no win, no loss. This was a winner. This was a winner. That was a winner, and you should have for sure been done. Then, the market was kind of reacting to the Fed, and after that played out, we had some more pumps higher. If you wanted to keep staying on the long side, there was all kinds of additional good signals throughout the day before we finally had a big slap down move. And then we went right back up, re-challenged highs and eked a bit more. And then the day went into a bit of a range bound day. Okay, so trade the signals. The whole approach is to just trade something very defined. If you look at prior videos from the prior week, this week and prior week, I show live bracket trading where you set brackets, meaning the second you enter, you have your stop, far target, and then some mechanism to trail stop, or at least move your stop to break even plus once the trade moves a certain amount of distance in your intended direction. And that's the exact way you should trade these setups. If you're a beginner trader or a developing trader and you don't, kind of know how to manage trades manual comfortably yet, then just trade the signals, very defined structured approach where you don't have to do a lot of thinking. You get the signals and you just execute your trades. Take a quick look at the super bands. and the big push we had yesterday. Just a little bit of a review here. So we came into the market 2 in the morning. Wow, did they come on strong right out of the EU session, and it was up, up, up. So somebody was on the buy side all pre-market. We come to the US cash session open. We had the long, the short, and the long. So those are the three trades you should have been able to be done. And at the time, the bands, super bands, main bands were definitely in an upward point. And then you had multiple additional opportunities to get long. That we had that one big slap down after the many legs. You know, we had out of the U.S. cash session open, we had 1 push, 2 push, 3, 4, 5. Then we had a big slap down. We came right into this area where there's a lot of accumulation, and then we went right back up, eked out a slightly higher high, and then we kind of stayed stuck in this upper range of price. So yeah, nice upward push as Chairman Powell threw the markets a bone, talking about the possibilities, I guess you could say, of interest rates being cut soon. So very simple approach. These are momentum mom. Mom is short for momentum. Momentum burst trades. When we're picking up linear price action and a few other things in that action that qualify the signal, we get the signal, we get audible tone, and these signals are outputs that can be used with third-party tools. And we have these same tools, super bands, the AIQ bands, a different style of bands, and the AIQ1 indicator with reversal signals and momentum signals on multiple platforms. So all that's highlighted at the gridalgo.com YouTube channel. Now I want to get into, I've been getting a lot of questions on different bar types. And let's go look at all the different bar types that you can use the signals on. And you don't have to use our AIQ bars that we include, the system tools. You can use volume bars, you can use range bars, you can use tick bars, whatever the heck you want. Let's go cover that next. So let's look at the NQ contract for these examples. And the system works on everything. ES, you can trade gold, oil, crypto, you can trade FX stuff. Some of the platforms we're on are multi-asset class, so you can trade spot crypto, you can trade stocks. I got guys trading SPYs, swing trading them with the signals. Because our AIQ1 tool has reversal and momentum signals. So they might use momentum signals for intraday trading, but then they're paying attention to higher time frame 1 hour, 4 hour charts and popping off wondrous precision, signal based swing trades with options trades or leverage ETF trades. So there's all kinds of possibilities. But coming into the U.S. cash session open, the first couple minutes, yesterday we had a long, secondary long, then a nice little short. Short didn't make a whole lot, but then there was the long, and it grinded. And you had the secondary long, third long, short on the nice slap down, and then it was grinder the rest of the day. But again, you can use tick charts, and this is one of, I know people on 555 charts, on 6-something charts. I know guys on 888s. I know guys on 1100 tick charts, and on for the NQ. It's up to you. Now let's go take a look at, I've been in a few institutional firms, and they would track the NASDAQ on a 2500 volume chart and use that to draw their levels. And it was very interesting. And they would pay attention to volume profile, not market profile, just the volume profile side of things on that 2500 chart. I'm not into that. And I have my reasons why, just not my cup of tea. But let's go take a look at a 2500 volume chart. And then also I've seen guys do intraday trading on 1100 volume charts. Let's go take a look at that next. So there we go. There was where institutionals came in, grabbed the market that was selling off in the after hour session just before the European cash markets open and ripped that higher. And so you can see this is a little bit of a bigger picture time frame. But what the guys that trade 2500 volume charts say is that they're using it more for intraday position trading or working into, let's say they get a swing signal, then they'll wait and, they might be watching the super bands or they're watching some other chart on a 4-hour chart, tracking key levels, and they get a swing signal, then they'll use one of these lower charts to go and wait and work in their specific entry as confirmation out of that signal. But you can see long out of the open. So long pre-market, long out of the open, and long through the and out of the Fed Powell, then a little short. That was a slap down. This is too high of a time frame, in my opinion, to trade intraday, like super precise. Let's go show you. I know people that trade the 1100 volume chart. That would be a little bit more my cup of tea on the NQ. Let's go take a look at that. And I asked them, why don't you guys just use a 1250, half of this? They said, no, the 1100's better. And they explained it to me and it made a little bit of sense. So let's go take a look at that. So there was the selling spike down in the evening session, Asian session, getting closer to EU session. Then EU session, as the EU cash session was coming online, we had buying. And then right out of the open in the 2-minute window, we had a short. So that's in that 2-minute window. We don't take signals. Then a long, a short, a late long, but this was out of the reaction of the Fed speaker comments, and then another long short. So you can see 1100 is, it's workable for intraday trading. You could, even go lower if you wanted. I would say, in the 600s, 700s, 800s are some good tick chart ranges too for, seeing a little bit more of the ebb and flow of the intraday action. But in the end, you can use whatever kind of bar type you want. Let's go take I'm sorry, this is not a tick chart. This is the 1100 volume chart. So let's fix that real quick. So yeah, we looked at the 2500 volume, and this is the 1100 volume. But as far as tick charts go, you can go look at, the 600 range, the 700 range, the 800 range is a really good range for tick charts. But this is, we just looked at the 2500 volume. That's definitely a much bigger picture. Overall look at the price action. It absorbs a lot of the noise in congested areas of price. The 1100 volume, you can see a little bit more of that and get a little bit more precise entry points in the ebb and flow of the day's action. Okay, now let's go look at something like a range bar and more bar types. 77 range bar in the NQ. There's the after hours session selling, then the buying that came in. Get to the open, first few minutes play out, get a long, a short, a long, another long, another long, another long, short, long, long. So you can see range bars are very workable too. Now let's go look at what everybody says. Oh, I want to see it on a 1-minute chart. I want to see it on a 2-minute chart or the NQ and so on. So let's go take a look at that next. So here's a 1-minute chart of the NQ. There was that selling in the after hours session. You can see a lot of noise of price. So in other words, the bar type is not helping you filter out scrub price action. And then let's get to the US cash session open. We had a long, a short, a late long, where some of the other bar types, because they're not based on time, do a better job of getting you into powerful moves sooner. And you can see overall, there's a lot of screen real estate I'm having to utilize for a 1-minute chart. If I was going to trade the NASDAQ on a time-based chart, if that's all I was able to trade, I'd probably use a 2-minute or a 3-minute chart. So let's go look at the 2-minute quick. And there we go. There's the 2-minute. Get the big move down, and it's scrubbed sideways a bit, leading up to the U.S. cash session open. Out of the U.S. cash session open, get a long, another long really late, short right in there. I'd have to space these signals out a little bit farther on a time-based chart. But anyhow, this is why I don't particularly love time-based charts. I like Renko myself. And now back to our AIQ bars on a 37 chart. So you can use Ninja Renko, Unirenko, any of those other Renkos. You can use any of those. So the bar type doesn't matter. You can use whatever you want, get it dialed in. So if you have any questions on the Algo IQ system and program, just let us know at info@gridalgo.com or just go to gridalgo.com or the Grid Algo YouTube channel. Talk to you all later. Have a great day.